When you love someone, you automatically find, or at least look for, the reasons behind the things they do, even if you know that the things that they are doing are wrong, or not healthy, or hurtful. So, how can we take that and translate it to loving ourselves and the parts of ourselves that are doing the things that we don't necessarily agree with or want to be doing anymore? My name is Danielle, #Damsel, at D's Enlightened Edits of damseldesigns.com, and this is a chat and channel session. In these, my guides select a topic, or you can feel free to submit a topic, and we take that and we have a channeling session on it. And then we can also have a chat in the comments, respectfully, if you feel called. So they gave me this idea that whenever we love someone, even if what they're doing is quote unquote wrong, right? Because wrong is subjective. Even if it's hurtful, even if it's destructive, we look at them through this lens of love. And so we either automatically have an excuse or a reason for what they're doing and why they're doing it. Oh, they're doing that because they're hurting about such and such. They're doing that because they don't understand XYZ. Or if we don't automatically assign a legitimate reason or excuse why they're doing that, we at least look for it. We give them the benefit of the doubt. We have such love for them that we automatically, to a degree, trust them and want to investigate. We're curious why they are doing such a thing. It's also the reason why when someone we love deeply hurts us, one of our first questions from a fundamental soul level is why? Why would you do that? Why are you doing that? Right? So even though we ask that why from a very hurt place, we are still asking it. And curiosity is something that will always open the door and free us when we allow it to. So how can we take that ingrained behavior that so many of us that are used to and translate it into doing that for our own shadow side, for our own behaviors, or for those that we don't love and things that we don't love that are hurting us? Because when we can come at something from that place of either seeing it through the lens of love or seeing it through the lens of curiosity, then we can be free. We cannot be controlled by those things, and we can come at things from a place of power rather than from a place of remaining disillusioned or being controlled by whatever the thing is. So for example, if you have a bad habit, right? A quote unquote bad habit or a destructive habit. If you have a coping mechanism behavior that you know is no longer healthy, but you just can't seem to help going into that mechanism. Or if you have a triggered reaction that seems to take control of you. These can even be things that become addictions at some point, right? Instead of getting so shameful and down on ourselves or being so controlled over it that we just throw our hands up, don't know what to do, give into it, and keep cycling in the same destructive behavior, can we find the reason and find the reason with love and then sit in that place of power for a while in saying, okay, what is the reason? Why am I feeling so drawn to do this? Why do I always do this? But be careful when you ask that question, why do I always do this? Don't ask it with a shame and a judgment upon yourself. Ask it with a curiosity. And ask it until you can ask it with curiosity. Now, this can be something that you do internally in your own inner dialogue, or some people are more comfortable doing this through something like stream of consciousness journaling or writing. So either one of those that feels good to you, you can do. Something I also suggest to my clients is if neither one of those options feels good, or sometimes even when it does, it can be beneficial to use something like our voice notes on our phones or other devices to have a conversation with ourselves, because often when we play that recording back, we can hear things from an external perspective or from a more understanding place, rather than sitting in the emotion that we're in at the time of recording it. So see which one of those feels good to you, and be willing to sit in the uncomfortability and ask that question with as little judgment or shame as possible. Why am I doing this? Or why do I always do this? Why do I feel the need to go back to this behavior, right? Fill in the blank. For some people, that's mindlessly scrolling social media. For some people, that's going straight to a comfort food or drink or substance. For some people, that's numbing out and shutting down and just ignoring the world. No matter what those things are for you, ask yourself why you're doing it. And then if you can, try to backtrack and trace where the roots of those things are coming from for you. What is the first time you can remember doing that? What was the event that sparked or triggered that? Or what was the comment that was made, or the look that was made or imposed upon you by someone like a caretaker or a lover or a teacher earlier in life that ingrained this behavior on you, that something you were doing was wrong, and that the only way that you could respond to it, or your nervous system could respond to it and help you out of that situation, was to create this protective response system or behavior within you. And then when you can get to those roots, you can come to the proper place of healing. And if you can do that with love for yourself, that younger part of you, that inner child part of you, that past life part of you, or that simply less learned part of you was not doing so to be malicious or hurtful or avoidant necessarily, but was doing so as the only way it knew how at the time to help you or your nervous system out of an uncomfortable situation, then it's easier to heal. And once it's easier to heal, once you understand what you are healing, then you can work on the process of working through those myelinated nervous system pathways, right? Myelinated simply means it's the chemical that we build in our bodies and in our brains when something is a deeply rooted behavior. So we can work through those neural pathways, and we can work through the process of untangling them and shifting gears, like we're switching tracks on a train, to a more healthy behavior. But remember, since those things are deeply ingrained, this is not going to necessarily be a linear process for everyone. It's going to be something that takes practice and love and understanding, and something that takes less judgment upon you, so that you can see that if you have a day or a situation that arises where you seem to be backtracking, you're not backtracking, because from now on, you understand that you have the power of where something's coming from, why you're doing it. And so you've at least released the tension or its control over you, right? In a particular facet of Buddhism, they call this Shenpa. So it's in essence the attachment to the behavior. So even if the behavior is still seemingly taking the lead, you at least have the recognition of it, so you have the potential to take the lead back. And even if you can't avoid the behavior every single time, you have the power to pull the reins back and lessen its power or control over you each time, and fundamentally be less triggered and have more tools to do something healthier every time a new situation arises that may elicit or trigger such responses within you. All right, so that is a very basic, bare bones, condensed way of putting all this, but it is a mini download. Feel free to re-listen to this and unpack it again, of a way that I see my healing and empowerment journey, right? Because it's also about understanding that we should not always be healing. We are also simultaneously empowering ourselves and living from a place of further power, right? Because if we're constantly referring to something as healing, which is something that I've been guilty of in the past, we are telling ourselves that we're broken. And it's not that we're broken, it's that we are learning to come at things from a more holistic place, right? That's what health is about, getting us whole. And it's not that pieces are missing, but it's that certain parts and facets of ourselves are more offline. They're more lying in the shadow. And that's why we do such things, to integrate the shadow and transmute the shadow, so that we are more that whole pie chart, and that we have more light within those parts that have been lying in the shadow or the subconscious and influencing everything we do, but without us having conscious understanding of why they're doing that. So we're coming to that consciousness. That is a process of awakening and ascension. So I hope that has helped you. I know this can be overwhelming. Please do not feel obligated to do this yourself. I share such pieces of information so that you know that you have the power to do things yourself if you want to, need to, or feel called. However, it can be a longer process. So know that if you are doing something like this yourself, where you're sitting in the emotion of it as you're doing it, it can take longer in some cases, or it can feel harder, because it's in essence like doing surgery on yourself. You're trying to maintain the focus of what you're doing while also feeling what you're doing. So be gentle and understanding with yourself in that process, because all of us need to do self-work no matter how much support we have, but also know that you are worthy of support. Even if you are gifted in this way, even if you know how powerful and conscious and self-aware you are, know that there can be value in also doing this work with someone else who you trust and have vetted, who can hold a safe space and container for you and be a channel of other energies and higher perspectives and information than you may be able to reach at that time when you are sitting in the emotion or the shadow of it. So if you feel called to that support and you're vibing with me, feel free to contact me. You can visit my website, Damsel Designs, DAMCL designs.com, where I have my offerings such as quantum sessions, Akashic Records readings, and so much more. If you feel called to do deep work like this, you're probably going to want to look into going beyond session work. So in that case, I have a contact form available to set up a consultation and see if we're a good fit for one of my one-on-one spots, where we can build a custom package for you with life and consciousness, quantum coaching, or quantum energy healing packages, because this deep level of healing really, in my experience, requires a container, requires a set investment period of time where you're in that support rather than a one-off session. So if you feel called to that, you can use the links that you will find on my website, or the links to all of these things are also always in my bio or the video description or caption, depending on which platform you are viewing or listening to this podcast on. And I would be very pleased to explore working with you. Whether you work with me or not, I hope that this has helped you. Remember that this is a chat and channel session for a reason, so I would love to hear from you in the comments. What does this spark for you? And I would also love and appreciate if you saved this, come back to it whenever you need, and shared this with your friends, fans, followers, whoever you find will find it helpful. I would love for this information to get further out there, and I appreciate you for helping in that. If this has helped you and you feel called and drawn and able, you can also support my public works and my channel through all amounts appreciated energy exchange donations, which can be made through paypal.me/DSEnlightenedEdits, or through the donate links, which you will also find in the same place as the other links. I really appreciate you, and please remember to be gentle with yourself. Thank you for going on your healing and empowerment journey, however that looks for you. Remember that that when you do this, you are healing not only yourself, but you are healing the family line that you are coming from. You are healing your descendants, should you choose to have children, and you are healing your little part of the world and bringing more light to yourself and to all of those areas. So I really appreciate you for doing that, and I hope to see, chat, and interact with you at some other time. With love, light, and light codes, love Danielle, #Damsel at Dees and Light and Edits of damseldesigns.com.